Before we really dive into the first 2 episodes of Yellowstone Season 4, can we just take a minute to... Oh, wow. I mean, I don't recall an opening sequence like that on television ever. It was 13 minutes of non-stop action. Shooting, fighting, a car crash. Someone was hanged outside the bunkhouse. Let's start right there. Any other episode and a hanging would be the climatic scene, but that dude got up like 1/2 second of screen time. It was a footnote. Hey, it's Billy Dukes, and thanks for joining me for the first unwind video of Yellowstone Season 4. We had questions. We got a few answers, but not nearly enough, and we were presented with even more questions during 2 really gripping hours of television. The rest of these videos won't be so long, but this one covers a lot, so I'll ask you now, just once, to subscribe if you're all in on this season, because this is where the conversation's gonna be. Then hit like and let me know what questions you still have in the comment section below. I'll do my best to help. Other viewers will chime in as well, and maybe I'll bring your question up in a future video. The thing about this show, and particularly these episodes, is they don't just give it all away. You have to watch and listen very closely to pick up on things like who is responsible for these attacks, what happened with the ranch in Markwood Equities, and why Rip made the new kid, Carter, run and get that bag. Then some scenes recalled episodes from Season 3, which for most of us was over a year ago. Don't feel bad if you can't recall why... hold on, wait, actually 1 second here. I forgot to mention that this video is going to be filled with spoilers. So you have 3 seconds to hop out or fast forward. I'm not going to be offended. Okay, as I was saying, don't feel bad if you don't recall why Rip killed Roarke, played by the same guy who played Sawyer from Lost 15 years ago. That scene was pretty amazing if you ask me, but we're gonna get there. I'm gonna answer these questions in order of importance, beginning with a couple of warm-ups. We met Travis, the handsome cowboy from Texas, before, but during Season 4, it looks like he's gonna have a major role as John wants to restore the ranch by creating a legacy for having world-class horses. So he's going to put Travis, a champion rider, and his team on the road to make him some real money. Travis is played by the show's creator and writer, Taylor Sheridan. Yeah, that dude writes, acts, rides horses, looks like that. Plus, he has a great voice, a ton of confidence and charisma. It explains why the camera frequently caught Teeter looking like she was wanting to sop him up with a biscuit. And don't feel bad if you don't know what the heck he was doing with those cattle. That exercise, where he's kind of keeping a steer in front of him, is called cutting, and cutting horses go for top dollar. They have a certain instinct about them. Hey, we didn't all grow up on the ranch. Speaking of horses, Jimmy fell off one before the bullets started flying to close Season 3, so he was more or less lying helpless during the pandemonium. I had him as the most likely to die, but lo and behold, about 2/3 in, we find out that he lives and is pretty messed up and can't feel certain extremities. If I'm being honest, I find him and his girlfriend to be a little bit of an unwanted distraction when they come on screen, kind of like that needy friend who always brings the party down. I'm not mad about seeing him shipped off with Travis, and this may actually set up the next Yellowstone spin-off. Actor Jefferson White is tied to another Taylor Sheridan show called The 4 Sixes Ranch, release date TBD. During the end of Season 2, we see Walker and the blonde Laramie cuddling, and this really seems to annoy Lloyd, the old-timer who used to kick it with Laramie. Walker seems to be rubbing it in by asking him for a song request. I can't figure out if Walker knew she and Lloyd were a thing and the old man just got dropped like stinky socks once the new kid returned, but he sure is acting pretty smug. And I have a theory here. Let me know if you like this. Previews of the show found what looked to be Rip messing up Lloyd pretty good, and I can't help but wonder if this is because Lloyd did something to Walker. And we all know that if you want to fight on the Yellowstone Ranch, you find Rip. You don't take care of it yourself. I'm not sure that there's a character I've gone back and forth on more than Walker, who's played by Ryan Bingham. Is he loyal? I don't know. Carolyn Warner is the new head of Markwood Equities, presumably because the story that Beth planted about Willa and harassment took her down. That happened to close Season 3, and now we have Carolyn instead. She looks like she's going to be a pretty tremendous character, and it's through her that we learn that the company did not attack the Duttons. If you follow already, you know we sort of suspected this because of the timing of it all, and because they need state support to make that airport happen. Talking to her lead lawyer, Carolyn is told that that attack had nothing to do with them. Let's stick with that plot line because early in episode 2, we get the conversation that answers most questions. John rode off to the mountain hot springs, which just seems like a tremendous find in Montana. Kayce follows and the two men palaver. They agree that Jamie probably didn't order the attacks because he only leased Yellowstone land to Markwood Equities. He wouldn't sell it. They take this as a sign that he still cares and did them a favor, and killers don't do favors. There's a whole lot more to that conversation that I'm going to get to in just a moment. It's worth noting here that 2 months passed between the attacks and this new action. John was in a coma for most of that time. All right, how we doing here? I know it's a lot, but there was a lot. Comments and questions below and give a thumbs up to show you appreciate the conversation. I'm about to get into some of the good stuff. And let's stick with Jamie. Beth thinks Jamie is responsible for the attacks, and when she accuses him, his reaction is more confused, which tells me it wasn't him. Kayce doesn't think it was him either because of the reasons discussed above, and because he doesn't think the militia would work for him. The militia, as in the group the Duttons attacked with state help to end season 2. That was Malcolm Beck's group, and remember, I go deep on this point in a video described here in the corner section. We never saw Malcolm Beck die. Many of you pointed out in the comments section that the news anchor said both Beck brothers died as season 3 began, but we didn't see it. I still don't like that, and I still like the idea of a Beck return somehow. At the very least, we learned that at least the Duttons believe the militia is responsible, which works on a number of levels. First, they had the resources and time to plan it all. Second, the impressive artillery they used. And third, the look of this guy who says he was the party planner. His story ended up taking the reservation off the hook for the attack. He kind of talked like a white supremacist as well during the episode, and he looks the part if we're being honest. When captured, Mo told him to share who he was working for to save his family, but we didn't get to hear what the dude said. This is the big cliffhanger heading into next week. In the end, we learned that no main characters ended up dying. In fact, I count only 2 good guys who died. Beth's assistant, who was presumably blown up, and Kayce's secretary she's seen lying dead behind her desk. The Wranglers took care of business, and we never got to worry too much about John because the show jumped forward 2 months real quick after the opening sequence. The other big surprise was Rip killing Roarke to end episode 1. He threw a rattlesnake at him and then stood on him until he died. I mean, that is going to haunt my dreams in a big way. But why did he do that? Think back to how season 3 ended. Wade Morrow gave Rourke's name up when asked who hired him to mess with the Duttons. Rip was collecting an old debt. It didn't have anything to do with these attacks. Okay, finally, here are some questions that we don't have answers to quite yet. Who was Jamie calling every day to check on John Dutton if it wasn't his sister or his brother? What does Mo know? What did Beth mean when she told her old boss that she was the bigger bear? Where the heck are Monica and Tate? And most interestingly, will Yellowstone continue to use the show 1883 to move its plot forward? That was a really brilliant addition to the first episode. We finally got to see a little bit of Tim McGraw playing James Dutton, the OG Dutton. Big fan. Alright, that's enough. Thanks for watching, y'all. Comments, questions below. Thumbs up if you like it, and please be sure to subscribe and ring that bell because more Yellowstone and 1883 analysis is coming. I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching.